Okay, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can, Gaurav.
Okay. Okay, let's start. So before I start, any questions related to any of the previous sessions? Okay, so we were about to talk about, we already started the credit management topic, and I've given you the overview that the normal FIAR credit management is no more available, and in order to use the credit management, there is only one component now which we must use, that is FSCM credit management. And I told you that there are some additional benefits of FSCM credit management over and above whatever we were getting in FI and AR, and that is the reason that has been selected as the only option in SAP S4HANA. So we started off with the configuration. I showed you some of the configuration that whatever configuration we'll be doing now is available within the FSCM node. Okay, financial supply chain management, and there is something called as credit management here. Okay, and I told you the highest level earlier in ECC, it used to be credit control area, but now in SAP S4 or maybe in FSCM credit management, there is a new node on top of credit control area called as SAP credit segments. Okay, so you have a credit segment under which you can have multiple credit control areas, and under which you can have multiple company codes which are assigned to it. Okay, and finally, when we closed last time, we were talking about the credit master data of the customer. So whatever we were doing through FD32 is no more available, and if you want to maintain the master data or the credit master data of the customer instead of FD32, you will be using transaction BP, and under BP you have a different role. So let me just show you. Okay, so under this you have a role called as SAP Credit Management, which is UKM 000, which allows you to maintain the credit master data of the customer at the credit segment level. So there is no more master data available at credit control area level. Whatever master data you will be creating, it will be valid for credit segment. So if you don't have the requirement of centralized credit management, in that case you can create one-to-one relation between credit control area and credit segment. Okay, so within the credit segment you have two tabs. If you go to the general data, there are two tabs available. One is credit profile, and another is the credit worthiness of data. We talked about credit profile. Let me just talk about it once more. So these rules, scores, all these fields, these are relevant to the new functionalities. As I told you, you can systemize the capability of calculating the scores and the credit limits of the customer based on some predefined logic that you can store in the system, and that is stored through the rules. So this is something which is over and above the functionalities that we were using. But apart from that, like risk class, so earlier we were using risk categories. In ECC we were using risk categories. Now it has been replaced with risk class. Even the configuration is something which is not the same. I'll talk about where exactly you can maintain the risk classes, although we discussed already, but I'll show you again. So risk classes are something like whether the customer is a low risk, no risk, medium risk, high risk. Accordingly, you can create the risk classes and you can assign it to your customers. This check rule is very important. Okay, so earlier we discussed that in OVA8. Let me just open this. In OVA8, we were doing a lot of configuration for automatic credit control. OVA8. Okay, so let's say for example, if I go here, there were a lot of fields available here, like the maximum document value, dunning level, oldest open item. There are a lot of conditions, but now in OVA8, it is only checking whether the credit limit is available or not. That is a static credit limit, nothing else. All other things are moved to a new configuration, which is called as a credit check rule, under which you can maintain lot of different configurations, like lot of different checks. Okay, then customer group, this was also available in ECC also. So last time when we closed, we were discussing to have a mapping between your ECC fields vis-a-vis which fields are available in SAP S4. So I tried that. Let me just open the ECC screen. Okay, let me just open new screen for ECC. Okay, so earlier we were using FD32. Now let me take this customer and this company code. Let's select all the views. See now, starting from the overview, what you are getting the information here is the customer with within which credit control area and currency, and then this is just the information that what is the total credit limit of the customer. Out of this, how much is already being used, how much percentage is used. Okay, payment history of the customer like DSO with cash discount and all. Dunning information of the customer and the master data components like which risk category this belongs to, what is the credit representative group. So all these things are available here, may not be in the same way. So if I show you here, starting from, let's go to credit segment data. Okay, here also you see it is showing you what is the credit limit of the customer, out of which how much is already being used, what is the total percentage utilization. Okay, so total credit is only 1000, out of which already it has been exceeded. So customer is already using 136% of the limit which is already assigned to it. The payment behavior indicator and KPI payment behavior indicator, they will provide you the information of the payment summary, like what is the turning level as of today, what is the oldest open item. Okay, key figures like DSO, what you are getting here, this one DSO and all this information like dunning areas and all may not be in the same fashion, but most of the information it has been shuffled into different areas. But I don't think there is any particular field which was very critical to the business which is no more available. Only one field I think, and that too I think there is a reason behind that. Let me proceed to the next screen. This is the address information anyways. You are getting that under the business partner. Okay, this one, the total amount and largest individual amount. Now, I have not used this functionality, but what we can understand of this is total amount is irrespective of which credit control area. If this is a customer which is created under 4 credit control areas, for example, so obviously we have a credit control credit limit defined at each and every area. But on top of that, if you have a requirement that consolidating all the 4 credit control areas, if you want to provide a central limit, I don't think anybody has used this scenario anywhere. I don't think it is logical, but again, I don't know in which circumstances you use this scenario. Anybody use this scenario where you are not only checking the credit limit on a particular credit control area, but you are seeing at an enterprise wide, which means within the same system. Within the same system, if there are multiple credit control areas, you are not only checking at the individual credit control area, but at the global level. Okay, anyway, so this is something which I am not able to find in the BP screen. And the reason is because, as I told you, there is no concept of credit control area. No concept means we are not defining the limits at the credit control area. We are already defining the limit at the credit segment, which is a collection of credit control areas. Which means if you have 4 credit control areas which are coming under one credit segment, then obviously this will serve the purpose, total amount. While we don't have any place where we are maintaining the limit at the credit control area, because credit control area master data is no more available. It is only at the credit segment level. Hello, there is some background noise. You want to ask some question? Okay, let me proceed. Okay, so that was the overview where it was not allowing you to change. Here are the things which the system is allowing you to enter the risk category. You can block the customer from the credit point of view. You can enter this customer group and all. So most of the things, even if you see here, you are able to upload or you are able to change. So for example, if I go to this credit control area, you can block the customer. Let me go to the change mode. You can block the customer, right? You can enter the customer group here in this credit profile, this one. So most of the information is just shuffled. I don't see any particular field which is impacted a lot, which means I don't think there is any field, any critical field which was required in ECC is not available in SAP S4. Okay, and again, whenever you are migrating, means whenever you are moving your customers from FD32 to BP, again you don't need to worry about all these mappings. This is not manual. SAP has provided the cockpit, which I'm going to show you during the conversion. If I go to this SPRO, so within this migration to SAP S4HANA, this is a migration cockpit, data migration cockpit, which allows you to migrate your data for all different things, from material ledger point of view, from your credit management point of view. So if I go to credit management here, you can see this cockpit is available, this program is available, which will automatically migrate the fields which are available in FD32 to UKM_BP. Okay, so no need to worry about mappings at all. You don't need to perform any manual Excel sheets to upload the data from old credit management to new credit management. That will be taken care automatically by these programs. Okay, so
hey Gaurav,
yeah.
Manish here. Hello.
Yes,
Like in the S4HANA, this
sorry Manish, can't hear you.
credit segment property is new. So like when we migrate, how it is means already been created in the system.
System will automatically create one credit segment against each and every credit control area.
Am
So
I
it is
clear with
one-to-one
my
map.
question? Means if the credit segment property is new and earlier that customer is, for example, created in different credit control areas for that there is a collective.
Manish, your
Hello.
voice is not clear. Again and again it is getting break. Yeah.
Hello. Sorry,
Yes, Manish.
probably my connection is not proper. Hello.
Yes. Yes, Manish, I can hear
Yes,
you.
tell me now, okay, please. Yes, now tell me, please.
No, but I have not understood your question properly. Can you just type your question otherwise?
Actually, here in my yes, my hometown is not. No, I'll tell you. Like credit segment profile is a new property in the S4HANA system. So how system will assume that earlier that customer has been distributed in the different credit control areas? How it would be means assume that this should be come under one segment. That is my question. Not clear.
No, Manish, not clear.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Manish. Manish, can you just a minute? Let me ask him to write a question on the chat screen.
Okay, no issues. Please proceed. I'll ask again. Either I'll mail you. No issues. Please proceed. Actually, I'm in my hometown. Probably that would be the reason.
Okay, no issues. Okay, so let me now proceed towards the transactions. Okay, we have the master data now where we maintained, let's take an example, this master data itself, which I've shown you now. I think I closed that screen. So if I go to transaction BP, I'm taking this same business partner, which is which is 177, and the limit which is assigned to this customer is 1000, and out of which already 1360 has been used. So he's already using 136%. If I show you the configuration, what is maintained for this customer, This customer means at this credit control area level. If I go to OVA 8, okay, it is already open. So this is the configuration. You can see if this is a credit control area, if this is a risk class, which is A, which I mentioned in the customer master. Credit group 01 means for the sales order at the sales order level. Okay, and we said yes, credit management is active. The reaction will be A. A means system will check and it will issue the warning message. Okay, and then the status block I have not done till now. I'll show you later on. So reaction is A. Now let's go to transaction. So if I create a sales order, because the control is at the sales order level, if I go for order type OR, and let's say instead of entering the whole information, if I just copy this sales order, which has been taken from the same customer. So if I just create a copy, so this is a customer which is business partner 177, and if I just enter the customer reference number as taste 123 or something, okay, and let me change the amount. I don't know what is the amount as of now. It is 10. Anyways, if it is 10 also, then also it is getting exceeded by the credit limit because it is already exceeded. So now let's try to save this and see whether the system is throwing the message or not. You can see the system is throwing the message. What it is saying, it is giving the warning message. It is not stopping you to create a sales order. Okay, if I, in this configuration, if I do the configuration in such a way that if I make it as reaction as, let's say, C, or sorry, B, then it will not give me the warning message, it will directly throw the error. It will not allow me to proceed itself. There itself it will stop me. But now since I configured that I want the warning message, not the error message, that is the reason it is throwing the error, and it is saying that the credit limit is 1000, which is already being exceeded by 370. 360 is already done and you are creating the order of another 10, which means it will be exceeded by 370. If I click on OK, the order will be created, which means it has just provided me the warning. It has not stopped me to proceed with the order. Okay, very much similar way in ECC also it works like this. There is no changes in the transaction level, because transaction, whatever sales orders you were creating, you are going to create the sales order in the same way without any modifications. Right? So now this standard order 57 has been saved. Now let me show you some of the reports. Now where exactly you will find the reports. So earlier the credit management reports were available within the accounting. You can go to sales and distribution, or maybe some of the basic reports are available in financial accounting also. But now, as I told you, it is no more SD and FI, it is all FSCM. So within financial supply chain management, if you go to this credit management, there is a lot of reports, lot of information you'll be getting here. So just to see some basic reports, if I go to list display, and let's say I want to see the utilization of different customers. If I go for credit limit utilization, and if I just provide this credit segment and click on execute, it will give me all the business partners with their credit limit. So this is the one that we are talking about. So business partner number 177 is having the credit exposure of 1370 already, while the credit limit is only 1000. So which has been exceeded by 370 amount and 137 percentage. This is a rate signal, which means it has been already exceeded with all some of the master data information, like what is the risk class, what is the credit group. Okay, if you block the vendor, it will show you the block indicator here also. Special attention, if it is, you will be getting the special attention. So it is not only giving you the transaction details, but it is also showing you some of the master data attributes. Okay, one very important thing to note here is this number. So when we created a sales order, the customer number was 8. But wherever you will be seeing the FSCM credit management reports, it will not consider your customer number. It will always consider your business partner number. which is one of the reason to worry in the sense if you are following the same number approach where your business partner is same as customer, then there is no problem. But if you are not following that, this case which we are seeing now, so customer number is 8 and business partner number is 177. In that case, definitely we need to invest the time to create a small report. Instead of running the standard reports, you may need to, or maybe if the business is okay, they can get a list and perform their manual activities, because this is not a single report. There are a lot of reports that you will be running under the credit management where you need to get the customer information also. So let me share my experience. We worked on two credit management, implementations in the sense the one migration and one completely new implementation. So one of the company has gone with the same business partner concept, which means the same number. So there was no problem. They were happy with the existing one. And the second company where we implemented, they were not having the same business partner number. So what we have done is we identified some 4 or 5 reports which they are going to use on day-to-day basis regularly. And instead of creating the separate transaction code for the Z reports, we asked our developer to add a column in the standard report itself. Okay, so he has added one column which gives you not only the business partner number but one-to-one link with the customer also, so that you will be getting all the information at one place. So I think that development will be definitely required wherever you will be going for the project. Customer will not be happy if you give him this report and saying that you will not get the customer number here. For that you need to do the VLOOKUP or something.
Gaurav, there is a question for you. This is Vijay, by the way.
Yes.
If, for example, business partner 177 can have 2 customer accounts FI level with FCU 000 in 2 different company codes. There may be 2 customer numbers, right? So we have already got.
Vijay, one business partner can have one customer only. It can be assigned to multiple company codes, multiple sales organizations, but the number is going to be same.
Yeah, I understand that business partner is only one, but 177, if you use FCU 000 role, and you can create 2 customers in 2 company codes, right?
No, it will not allow you.
Oh, it will not allow us?
No. It will allow you to create in multiple company codes, but with same code.
Oh, okay.
Yes, if I give you the example here itself. So if I go to transaction BP.
Okay.
Okay, and if I go for FI customer.
Yeah.
In the company code, so the number is already generated. Now even if you create this customer in multiple company codes, this number will remain same. So there is only one customer which is assigned to your business partner.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it cannot be like that. Relation is not at all possible where you have multiple customers with same business partner.
Okay, thank you.
And I hope you remember the link also, like how to get this link. It is not available directly in one table. So first you will go to table BUT000 where you'll be getting the business partner GUID, and then you need to go into the CVI_cust_link where you'll be providing the GUID and you'll be getting the customer number. So
yeah,
same,
I remember that.
Yes, same logic you can write in your standard reports, or maybe if you don't want to touch the standard reports, you can create some G reports which will provide them the information. But it is always better idea to have the same numbers for business partners and customers to avoid these scenarios, because currently we are only talking about customer credit management, but tomorrow when CRM, SRM, APO, all these things are going to merge within the system, this will create a lot of confusion. It is always better to have a same number.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are some of the reports. Let me just show you 1 or 2 other reports also. These are the standard reports, so there is no need to Yeah, credit exposure, for example, how much, I think it is also giving the same picture. So this is my business partner under this credit segment. If I execute this, it will tell me how much exposure has been already utilized. It is showing you document by document. So no, it is, sorry, it is not document by document. If you double click, then it will show. It is showing you how many are the open orders, how many are the open invoices, and how many are the deliveries. So if I double click on this, it will take me to the open orders. So this much number of open orders are available for this customer. If I want to see how many invoices are due, so if you double click on this, it will show you these are the number of invoices which are not paid till now. Okay, and finally, if you go for this one, it will show you the deliveries, open deliveries. Yes, Manish, you're trying to ask something?
Hey, Gaurav, Manish here. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
Manish.
Could you please show us the horizon period concept in this S4 HANA? Could
Horizon
you
period
please
concept.
show us the S4 HANA, the horizon period concept in this credit?
Yes. Horizon period concept is normally, if you are using the horizon, in that case, you will be using this. Just a minute. Let me just open this. Yes. So if I go to this general data, so horizon means you are using the dynamic credit limit, right? This one. Okay. It is not necessary.
Correct.
If you want to use both static as well as dynamic, that can be also done here. That is not a problem, but I'm just giving you, this is specifically available for horizon. If not, if you want to stick to this one only, all checks active. So in this configuration also,
Mhm.
if I'm checking rules, you can perform various checks here. So see, currently these are the checks: statistical check, maximum document value, this and this. So if I want to create a new entry, for example, here, individual steps. So here, let me just, yeah, this one, dynamic limit check with credit horizon. So if you specify this, then only this check will be performed. Okay, you can specify the credit horizon in days here. Is this something that you wanted to see, Manish?
Yes, actually it's a complex, means the horizon period, it changes every day, means customer falls under, like we define the 3 months days, then
Mm-hmm.
it works every day. The decode I forgot, probably SO66 something, where this days changed every day, means like today we created the sales order, it falls under
Mm-hmm.
that horizon period or not. So it is same in the S4 HANA. That's what I wanted to ask. It was in the ECC.
Yes, yes, yes. See, normally what is the purpose of this credit horizon is, let's say for example, if you are a company and there is one invoice of the customer which is very old, let's say more than 3 months old, and let's say that is in dispute or something, and we don't want to consider the older invoices. We want to see the credit history of the customer for last 90 days only. Forget about the old invoices. So we provide this number of days,
Mhm.
90 days. Let's say for example that this 90 days, if there are some invoices, if there are some credit limits which are exceeding within this 90 days, then only block that customer or then only provide the warning message, right? So what happens is
Correct.
every time you create a order, let's say for example, if I'm creating the order today, so it will check minus 90 days from today. Okay, whether that falls
Yes.
past 90 days or not,
Correct.
right, Manish?
Yes, yes, yes.
So
And which
whatever you,
all documents need to be considered that? Hello.
yes, which all documents need to be considered, that you define here in the
Considered.
update, in the
Update
update that
group.
you assign to, yes, update group in the credit control area.
Okay.
Like for example, if I show you credit control area, so if I go to SPRO, This one. So it should consider only the open deliveries and billing documents, open delivery value, sales order, open billing documents, or both, all three. So orders, deliveries, as well as billing documents. So we are using this 12. That is the reason in our report, it is showing 3 lines: open orders, open deliveries, and open invoices. I think Manish, if you have worked extensively on credit management, it will be, Manish, can you just mute yourself? Yes. Manish, if you have worked on extensively on credit management, it will be a great idea if you share a scenario. Maybe that will be helpful for all of us. So what we will do is you just give us the scenario. This is how, let's say, for example, I want to see the system like this. Because whatever I told you, this is according to my experience. But I think you have worked more on credit management point of view. So if you give me the scenario, I can show you the complete scenario, how that will fit into SAP S4HANA. Because what we are understanding here is that everything is available, but only thing is where exactly that is available, the fields are changed. Some of the fields are moved to different places. So in case of conversion, you don't need to worry. Whenever you are converting, you don't need to worry because data will be copied automatically. But it may be a little bit confusing whenever you are going for the new implementation. Oh, this was a field available here, I'm not able to find that. So that is something which non-critical fields, again I will say non-critical fields. The fields which are very critical, they are already available in the same box. But there are some fields like which we were using earlier, we may not be able to locate it. Definitely it is available, but where exactly that is available. So if you give me the scenario, we can work on that.
Sure, Gaurav.
Okay, so just to summarize what we, yes.
One more question. Earlier, I mean, traditionally they follow like a distributed credit control areas or a global credit control areas, and usually they go by one country, one credit control area most of the time. Even if the US has got 10 company codes, there will be one credit control area, and all the company code customers, I mean, all the company codes are assigned to the credit control area. So now the credit control segment acts as a credit control area, like a one for country, or how does it goes in the S4HANA?
No, see, yes, see, Vijay, again, there is no change in that. I'll give you the example. Let's take the same example as you took.
Okay.
So you have 10 different companies which are coming under one country. Can you just mute yourself again? There is some background noise. Yeah. So see, it depends company to company. So the example that you give, again, in the companies where I have worked, there is some deviation. So let me tell you. So this is one scenario where you have one company, one credit control area, which is a very rare scenario. One company code, one credit control area. Very rare. Okay, second kind of scenario can be you have 4 company codes, okay, which belongs to same country, so one country. And you have, let's say, 4 company codes, 2 per country. So country wise you created two credit control areas. So you are creating the credit control areas at the country level. Okay, and there is a third scenario where you have, let's say, again 4 company codes. All 4 are in different countries, for example. One for each country. Then it is also possible that you are using a same credit control area. The companies where I worked, they were following this approach, some of the companies. One common credit control area throughout the globe. Okay, so this is also something which the company needs to decide whether they want to go with country wise, they want to go a global credit control area, or they want to go with the single company code controlling area wise, credit control area wise. Okay, so let's say, for example, currently you said you are following this approach. Okay, now I'll tell you how this will fit in our SAP S4HANA. Although there is no change, there is only new thing which is added is credit segment. So let's say this is your scenario. There are 4 company codes which are having 2 different countries, 2 per country, and you have created 2 credit control areas as of today. Now, let me ask you the question. Are you going to perform the credit control at one common level, or you still want to perform the credit control at this credit control area level? I mean, do you want to perform the global credit control area level, which means you want two credit control areas which will be continuously you want to use in future also?
Yes.
So in that case, it is always good to create two credit segments, one-to-one mapping with the credit control area. So although you are creating the customer at the credit segment, but it will be treated as a credit control area only, right?
I'm trying to compare with the credit control area previously and now with the credit segment. And because one of my recent project, our finance guy created for US and Mexico, he tried to use the same credit control area, but the management, the financial controller and all that, they had a lot of discussions. I was a part of some of the discussions. And they decided to have a separate credit control for Mexico and separate control area for US. That's what I was asking. Segment, where does it fit? It exactly fit as a credit control area previous world, right?
No, you are right. So it all depends upon the company scenario. If you see the standard system, let's see how SAP suggests. So if I go to assign company code to credit control area, now you can see here, this is one of the standard company code. What are the others? Yeah, let's say example for this China. Now this must be definitely the standard company code, right? Which is provided by SAP in the standard best practices, right? See, this is also assigned to the global credit control area. So SAP in short suggests to have a common credit control area. Again, suggest means in the best practices they have provided that. It doesn't mean that it is asking everybody to follow that. But this is all depends upon the company's discretion. Like what exactly is their purpose? They want to perform the credit at individual legal entity level, or they want to perform at a group level, or they want to consolidate even within different SAP's landscapes like we discussed on the credit segment point of view. So it is all depends upon the requirements.
Yeah, can you go to that ASCII file, text file? You got two scenarios.
Yes.
So here we have one credit control area per country, and another scenario. Can you put the other scenario also, the third one?
No, it is not showing me. Okay, so the third scenario was?
Four company codes.
Four company code. Let me just copy this.
4 different countries, one credit control area.
Yes, 4 different countries.
And one credit control area.
Right. This is a global credit control area.
Exactly. So in this case, for scenario 1, with 2 credit control areas, do we need to assign 2 credit control areas to one segment, or directly we can follow one credit control across the countries and assign to one credit segment?
Again, it depends upon your requirement. For example, currently you are having 2 credit control areas, which means you don't have central control as of today.
Yes.
But is there a need? Are you ready for having the centralized control? If yes, then you can go for one single credit segment. But if you want to follow the same thing, if you want to continue 2 different controls, then you can create 2 credit segments, one assigned to each credit control area.
That way they'll get a credit control for each country.
Exactly.
Okay.
For each country.
The credit control area still existing is confusing. When there is a credit control segment, why we need to have a credit control area? Exactly, it is like this.
There is a yes, there is a reason. If you remember, I talked about
let's say
for
projects,
example,
right? Yeah, conversion projects. If one country is an ECC and another country is in S4HANA, then we, in order to consolidate, you want to use this, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So you have, let's say, 10 company codes in SAP S4HANA. So that is perfectly fine. Even if you don't have credit control area, that can serve. But if you have 2 more companies who are on ECC, now if you want to perform the centralized credit control, and every time whenever you are posting anything here, it is coming to check in this system, distributed system landscape. So here, this credit control area, whatever is created here, that must be assigned to credit segment. That is the reason credit control area is still required in order to consolidate it to the credit segment level.
Yeah, got it.
But normally, if you are working in a single system, forget about the distributed system landscape. In that case, I think 90% of the time you will be having one credit control area per segment. You will not be creating many to one relation. It will be one to one because you are only doing it just for the sake of creation of credit segment. Because whatever credit control areas you created, you already know that they were created to segregate the control. If you want to follow the same thing, then definitely you need to have a separate credit segment for each credit control area. It is only more important in case of distributed landscape. Otherwise, in case of single landscape, I think one credit control area per credit segment is perfect combination.
Got it. Thank you.
So Gaurav, quick question on this point though. So if there are four companies in 4 different countries with one credit control area, then did you say that there would be just, because if the business is okay with the global credit control, then we would be okay creating just one credit segment?
Yes, if you are already having one single credit control area, then you are already centralized, right?
Right. So just one is good enough.
Yes, one is good enough.
Okay. If not, then other option would be to create one credit control area for each of the country and create one segment for each one. Is that
That is
a
also fine.
possibility?
Yes,
Okay.
see, possibilities are all available. Whatever possibilities you want, it is at the end, you need to decide at what level I want to perform the credit control. At the corporate level, at the group level, or at the company code level. Once you decided that, then you can continue using that. That is something which is not hard-coded, like you need to create this much credit control areas or this much credit segments. It all depends upon the requirement.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Clear.
Gaurav, one last question. Is any IFRS guidelines for credit control area also, like the credit segment using FSC and credit control? Is any IFRS guidelines because of that they did it, or it's just the improvement of the process?
No, I don't think so, because credit management is something which is not something which is being like monitored by IFRS. Credit management is what you are controlling your credit so that your payments are made on time. IFRS, I don't think has anything to do in that. IFRS is compliance, right? Whatever reportings, whatever kind of financials you are presenting to the government, they should be follow the certain norms. But credit management is something which has nothing to do externally. It is all internal management of your credit control.
Okay. So as of now, only IFRS 15 and 16 are component of S4HANA, right? I mean, 15 is for revenue recognition, 16 is for asset accounting.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions on this? Okay, if not, let me start a new topic. I was about to start the rebate processing, but I was getting some error in this system. So what I will do is I'll make sure that that is available in whenever we are completing this particular topic. So today I'll start off with the MRP live functionality, which is a very important functionality in terms of PP is concerned. So from the manufacturing point of view, you must be knowing that MRP is a very critical business requirement, and currently you must be knowing that normally the MRP run is scheduled at nights. The reason is because it takes a lot of time to perform the availability checks and come up with the MRP list and stock transfer list, due to which it is normally performed in the nights. So now SAP has came up with a new version of MRP. Actually, there are two versions. One is MRP on HANA, which means even if you are not using SAP S4HANA system, if you are using ECC on HANA database, then there is also the simplification which is provided by MRP on HANA. And even again, if you are using ECC with HANA database, MRP Live is also something which can be utilized without SAP S4. So when I'm talking about MRP Live, it doesn't mean that MRP Live is only available in SAP S4HANA. MRP Live was available even in ECC also, but the prerequisite is you must be running SAP HANA database. So MRP Live we will discuss, and then I will talk about what is new from MRP Live point of view in SAP S4HANA. So we need to understand what is MRP, what were the challenges in MRP, how they were how they were solved in MRP on HANA, then what were the additional benefits on MRP on Live on ECC, and how this has been leveraged in SAP S4HANA. So there are 3-4 phases in starting with the traditional MRP to MRP Live on SAP S4HANA. There are 3-4 phases which you need to understand. Okay, let me just share my PPT before showing the screens.
Hey Gaurav, Manish here.
Yes, Manish.
Just one request. Before we proceed to the MRP part, means the PP part, can we have a session on the rebate part as you have said on the means our course structure? That rebate part you also would cover. That's my request.
Yes, Manish.
Because then
Manish, I told
after
the same thing.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, Manish, I think you are not able to hear me properly. I started the same thing. I told you the rebate processing is something which I was about to take after the credit management. But when I tried running the rebate processing transactions, I was getting some errors. Because of it is still not ready. Like there are some dumps. I think there are some business functions which are not properly activated in this server. So that is the reason I'm starting with MRP Live now, but I'll definitely come back to rebate processing once we complete this.
Okay, no issues. Please proceed.
But that is definitely in our agenda. No, don't worry about that. We'll be talking about rebate processing also.
Okay.
Okay, let me know once you're able to see PPT. Please confirm. Are you able to see now?
Yes, Gaurav.
Okay. Okay, so let's start off with what is MRP. Okay, I think all of you must be knowing, but still let me just give a very small introduction to MRP. So we are working in a company, and as you know, there are a lot of transactions which happens in a company. Let's take an example of manufacturing company. Now your salesperson is going to the customer to take the order. Okay, now he has received the order and he needs to confirm the date by which the material will be available on customer premises. Now before making this commitment that okay, on this particular date we will be delivering the goods, you need to be very careful, like whether the current material availability, the current resources availability, the current the stock which is available in my godown, whether looking at all these situations, am I ready to deliver this product on time? If you are not able to deliver, what will happen? You will lose your image, because if you are not delivering on time, definitely customer will not be happy to do the business with you. At the same time, you also don't want to overstock. In order to avoid the delays in the delivery, normally there are a lot of companies who do the overstocking so that your customer should not go back. But again, if you are doing overstocking, there is a lot of cost that you need to incur in order to store that particular material in your godown, and there are very high chances of there can be some damages, or maybe there can be some of the we can say the natural disasters or something which we want to avoid, and we want to manufacture only that much goods that we are able to sell on time. That is the reason, in order to make sure that the material is available on time, at the same time it is not overstock, we need to perform this MRP on regular basis, which tells you according to the demand and according to whatever purchase orders you already created, how much you need to order more. Just to give a simple example, you got an order of 10 quantity from the customer. I'm talking about a distributed scenario. I'm not talking about manufacturing as of now. So there is one material which you purchase from one of the vendor and you sell it to the customer. Now customer has given you the order of 10. You checked in your stock, out of that 10, 4 is already available. Again you checked in the purchasing team, they already ordered for 4 more, which is expected in next 2 days. Okay, and you need to deliver in next 5 days. So 4 plus 4, you will be getting 8. Now you again checked with your sales, have they done any other commitments? They confirmed, yes, 3 needs to be delivered tomorrow. So you are left with 8 minus 5. Okay, and finally, after doing all these calculations, you decided that I am short with 5. Okay, the system should calculate this 5 as the required quantity, and automatically this should be converted as a planned order. So this is a kind of MRP run. Now consider a company where there are thousands of materials. It is not practically possible to perform all these calculations manually. So what you want the system to do, you just tell the system, these are my customer orders, these are my production orders, these are my purchase orders, and you run one program which will give you the complete idea. This is the amount of quantity which is required to be purchased by these dates. Okay, that is a feature of MRP. Now this is not a new feature. This feature is available from years. I think before ERP came into the market, MRP was a term that was used because this was a very critical activity in any business. So MRP is available from years. SAP has a very good functionality of MRP which gives you the proper results, perfect results, but at the same time, the only problem is the speed. The speed at which you get all this information, because you are performing the planning for thousands of items. So it takes hours, and that is the reason normally it is not done during the normal business hours. It is normally done during the night hours to make sure that your other business processes are not hampered because you are performing these calculations in the background, right? So same thing is written in this first slide. MRP selects the data from different application areas. It takes the data from sales orders, whatever you need to deliver, production orders, whatever you are already in the process of manufacturing, purchase orders, whatever you are already ordered, and stocks, whatever is already available in your warehouse. And it consumes a lot of database resources because every time when you run the MRP, it takes the data from all these different applications. It takes a lot of system resources. And since hundreds or thousands of materials are planned at the same time, MRP usually takes hours to complete and is often scheduled to take place overnight as a background job so that it does not disturb the normal business scenarios, business processes. The approach was to process and validate each record. This is a problem. Why it is taking too much of time? Why it is taking hours to complete? The reason is, if there are 100 of materials, whenever you run MRP, single material is processed at a time. So material will be selected, all these 4 checks will be performed. What are the number of sales orders? What are the number of production orders? What are the number of purchase orders, stocks? And finally, the calculation is performed and it is stored in the internal table. Once the first material is done, then it will start for the second material, then third, then fourth. So it is doing single material at a time, due to which it is taking a huge amount of time. So the approach was to process and validate each record selected from the database with an ABAP code. This record would be then saved into the internal table and a new record will be selected from the database, so one by one. This logic works very well in old relation databases. So we were using this logic and it was working very well. However, a very important feature of SAP HANA. SAP HANA has a very important feature called as parallelization. Wherever you are doing the activities one by one, you can use this concept of parallelization, which means multiple records can be selected at once and the calculations can be performed in a very faster manner. So after HANA also, if you continue the same thing, then we are not properly utilizing the power of HANA. That is the reason SAP has came up with the second phase called as MRP on HANA. This means in the ECC, same ECC system, if you are using HANA database. Same ECC means, as you know, SAP HANA can be deployed only on the latest versions of SAP ECC. It doesn't mean it can work on ECC EHP 2 or 3. I think it is only supported on EHP 7. Okay, so if you are running EHP 7 system on HANA database, you can utilize this feature of SAP MRP on HANA. What is the difference here? So with SAP HANA, several tables can be selected and processed at the same time due to multi-core parallelization. So in this case, proceeding records one by one would be extremely inefficient. For this reason, SAP decided to redesign the MRP logic to achieve maximum performance using SAP HANA. Classic MRP transactions were optimized. There were no change in the transactions. So normally which transactions we use? MD01, MD02, MD03, MD04. These are the normal transactions that we use. Same transactions, no change. Same transaction codes you can use. In the background, because of HANA database, it will be faster. So now the entire database selection is triggered at once, and SAP HANA can use the power of parallel processing and improvise the MRP performance. But again, there is one problem here. Let's understand in the next slide. This is the third phase now, MRP live. So after MRP on HANA came, SAP within 6 months or maybe 1 year, they came up with the completely new functionality called as MRP live. So whatever optimization we seen in the last slide, it was only taking the selection of multiple records at the same time. So the optimization, however, was still not enough. Why? As only the selection from the database was optimized. It is not only selection. You are selecting from the database, you are performing the calculations going into the sales order, production order, purchase order, stock, and finally you are saving into the table. So with MRP on HANA, only selection was optimized. The processing and finally storing the data in the table was still done one by one. Okay, so although if I take an example, out of 1 hour, you reduce the time to, let's say, 40 minutes, but still there are chances of improvising on that and come to, let's say, 20 or 10 minutes also with MRP Live. How? So as of EHP 7, SAP has recreated MRP from scratch. A new version of MRP called as MRP Live was created, and a new transaction is used to run MRP. So if you are using MRP on HANA, as I told you, same old transactions, MD01, 2, 3, 4, and all other transactions can work. But if you want to run MRP Live, there is a new transaction called as MD01N. Ending with N is a new transaction. So in MRP Live, the MRP logic, complete logic, starting with the database selection, going through the net requirement planning, and finally saving the results on the database is all done in a parallel way using the power of SAP HANA. So what about the classic MRP transactions? The SAP HANA optimization for classic MRP transactions such as MD01, 2, 7 only improves the selection because this is MRP on HANA. Before this optimization, what was happening? All the things were done one by one. Now instead of selecting and processing records one by one, the system triggers the reading of all database tables within SAP HANA at once. After that, all the records selected from the database are processed in an ABAP code to build the result to the internal table. I hope I'm not going fast. Let me give you the overview of whatever we have discussed till now. There are 3 phases. One is the traditional MRP that we were using. In traditional MRP, although the features were good, but it was taking a lot of time. Why? Because each record was getting selected one by one, it was getting processed one by one, and finally it was getting stored in internal table one by one. Then came MRP on HANA, only on HANA database, which allows you to perform the selection, the first step, in parallel, while the processing and storing the data will become one by one. That is the reason SAP came up with MRP Live, in which the complete process, starting with database selection to processing to finally saving the result in the table, is happening in a parallel way using the power of SAP HANA. MRP on HANA works on traditional transactions. MRP Live has a completely new transaction called as MD01N. So there are some restrictions. If you are using the MRP on HANA, there is no restriction on MRP Live. Whatever are there, we'll talk about, but this is something which is specific to MRP on HANA. So if you use these old transactions like MD01, MD02, obviously selection will be faster. Not only for MD01, 2 and 3, this all transactions, MD40, MD41, they'll all get benefited because of HANA database. But still, these transactions like long-term planning, MS01, MS04, MD4C, all this will still remain same without any modifications. Neither MRP on HANA will work on that, nor MRP Live will work on that. So for all these transactions, MRP on HANA will make it simplified, while this will remain as it is without any changes. Now coming to MRP Live, which is MD01, and now instead of theoretically discussing this, it will be good to directly see in the system what is MRP Live and how it is better to the traditional MRP Live that we were using from years. So let me just open MD01 first before I go with MRP Live. Let me open MD01. Now I am on SAP HANA database, right? Let me open ECC also here. Okay, this is my ECC screen. If I open MD01, okay. Now let me see if this is also on HANA database or what. I think this is also on HANA database. So we cannot compare directly between these two screens. No, this is MS SQL, no problem. Okay, so this is on SQL and this is on HANA database, same transaction. So you can see scope of planning, planned, processing key, create purchase, scheduling, everything as it is, parallel processing and this. So there is no change, although this tick is available for parallel processing, display material list and all, but there is no change in this screen. What will happen is, if you run the same transaction here in ECC, this one, this is my EHP7 system. If I run the same transaction for plant of let's say 100 materials, okay, the amount of time that this particular system will take will definitely more than the amount of time that this will take. The reason is because this is not using HANA database, the selection will happen one by one. On the other hand, here the selection, at least the selection, not the processing and finally saving the file in the internal table, at least the selection will happen in parallel, because of which it will take less time. Okay, so this MD01 is a main transaction where you can specify the scope of planning, where you can restrict your materials, like you can specify some plants within the scope of planning, some MRP areas. You can specify plant you are specifying here. So MRP areas normally used to restrict the materials. If you have thousands of materials in the plant and if you want to do separately, let's say you divided 250 each in 4 MRP areas, so you can specify the scope of planning as a particular MRP area. Okay. Within this, you have this processing key, which means you have 3 options here. This is okay. This is S4. That is the reason it is showing you 2 options. So one is net change in total horizon. This is also same like we discussed the horizon in case of credit management. Horizon means it will only see or it will only take the material into account if there is change in the material from the last run. If there is no change, last time when I performed the MRP run, after that, if there is no change for that material, then MRP will not be performed for that material. Okay. Then again you are getting this option. Don't get confused. I'm going to repeat these terms again and again when I'm going to show you the MRP live. So maybe first time if you are not able to understand, let's wait for another 15-20 minutes. I think all these terms will be very clear to you, even if you are not aware of MRP. Create purchase requisition. So let's say for example, if you are planning for material A and you, as I given you the example, you found out that 5 quantity will be required. So from where this 5 quantity will come? There are two options. One is if you are producing in-house, then you will be creating the production order. If you are getting that material from outside, then it will create a purchase order, right? For external procurement, you will be creating the purchase order. For internal procurement, you will be creating the production order. So whenever you run the MRP run, it will automatically create the purchase requisition in case of if the material is required from outside. And it will automatically create the planned order, not the actual production order, planned order, if you are getting the material produced within your organization. At the same time, you can ask MRP run that irrespective of whether I am getting the material from outside or inside, always create a planned order. So that settings you are specifying here, like whether you want the system to create the purchase requisition or to create the planned order, you can specify here. Similarly, in case of material which is manufactured inside, whether you want to create the scheduling lines or not. MRP list is a list of materials which is created after your run. So whether you want to create the MRP list or not, that is something which you can specify here. Okay, so these are the different options which you normally provide in MD01. So each and everything you are specifying, whether I want to go for net or not, whether I want to create a purchase requisition or not, everything you are specifying here. Now if you try to compare this transaction with a new transaction of MRP live, you'll find it how easy it is. So if I go for MD01N, okay, you can see here, first of all, here there is scope of planning. So you need to create some scope of planning where you can specify which MRP areas should be considered, this, that. Here it is very straightforward. Which plants you want to plan, which materials you want to plan, which MRP controller you want to take into the scope, and whether you are only running the MRP or MPS. MPS is normally done for critical goods. Okay, so you can specify whether you are doing the MRP only for MRP materials or you are also doing MPS or you are doing all materials. You can specify here. So you can see the selection criteria has been simplified a lot. You can do it for single material, you can do it for many materials, you can do it for single plant, you can do for many plants, even the MRP controller you can specify. So selection criteria you can see is completely simplified. Now in the traditional MRP, if I want to perform the MRP for single material, there was a separate T code which was MD02. So this is if I have a single material, then I was using a separate transaction. In MRP live, a single transaction will serve the complete purpose. If you want to perform the MRP for single material, fine. If you want to perform it for multiple materials, multiple plants, so that is something which is one of the benefit of MRP live from the selection point of view. Although the ultimate benefit is what? The amount of time. The selection is one thing, but the time required to run this process is something which has been improvised a lot. Now coming to this all options. You can see these options are not at all available. System is intelligent enough to identify all these things. Intelligent enough in the sense it has been very simplified, which means it will always consider this net change in total horizon. You don't need to specify this thing. It will always consider the best suitable option. Okay, at the same time, system will always create a planned order. Okay, it will always create a planned order. You don't need to specify whether I want to create a purchase requisition or I want to create a scheduling agreement or what. You don't need to specify anything in this screen. Okay, on top of that, this regenerative planning will, if you click on this regenerative planning, it will start from scratch. If you untick on this will only take net horizon, as I told you, this one. It will only take net horizon, otherwise it will take a complete planning. So in short, what I mean to say here is the screen is simpler in the selection wise, and also when you perform the MRP run, you will find a lot of benefits in terms of the speed. So let me just take one example here. So same material, I will plan using this screen MD02 and MD01N. So let's take this material. Star SL01 star. Okay, this is for plant SL01. Anything you can take, a slug also you can take. Okay, and execute this. It's not planned automatically. Okay, this is the reason is the material master. Let me go to this material master, which is MM02. Select views. Let me go to MRP 1, 2, 3, and 4. Plant is SL01. Storage location is SL01. Okay, no planning. That is the reason it is throwing the error. So let's say, for example, if I go for this PDMRP, enter MRP controller, I need to specify. I think I have to create this for the plant. Okay, so if I come back now completely here, this is MRP controller. Somebody has made it mandatory. That is the reason it is asking.
Yeah, make it EX. I think that's the best thing to use always.
Okay. Enter procurement time. This is fine. Let's keep it as 1 day. Okay, and save. So now we have this material which can be planned. So let's try this now. I think I need to come out of this MD02.
This is ECC that you're doing now?
No. This is S4 itself. I'm using the same traditional transaction, which means MRP on HANA.
MRP, not MRP Live.
No, not MRP Live. I'm showing you both. First MRP HANA, MRP on HANA, then MRP Live.
So,
okay, so this material is, yes.
So what I observed is when you change the MRP type to PD, there were not options for MPS there. So is that normal? Like the MPS material you'll have from M0 to M4.
Are you talking from the master data point of view?
Yes.
Let me show you. Yes, PD, what exactly you are asking here?
If it is an MPS material, you will have M0, M1, M2, and M3 and M4 options. But I did not see that when you selected that. So if you go for F4, yeah. So is it something that has been taken out or somebody has played with this?
No, I think the standard is this one. If you want MPS, I think maybe we need to create a new one. I need to check.
Okay.
MPS, I'll check.
No, standard it's available.
Sorry, Pradeep?
Yeah, in standard we can see it actually.
What are that? Can you just give me the codes?
Yeah, whatever like M1, M2, M0.
Okay, okay. Maybe I need to activate it from somewhere. I'll check this. Okay, let me just show you the difference between this and this first. So MPS is something which I'll just check and confirm. And let me go here. Now this is MD02. And now if I want to see the result, I'll go to MD04, right? Stock requirement list. So this is how it is generated. Okay, so total quantity is, this is the quantity available. These are my customer orders. So towards the end, this much will be available, out of which there are also some purchase orders. So 187, again there is some sales order, 177, you can see this is date wise. So overall, towards the end of 28th May, okay, yeah, as of today, or maybe as of yesterday, this is something which I'll be, the quantity will be available, which means it has still not created any purchase requisition because we already have the material which is above what we need. Okay, so same thing. Now, if I try to do via MRP live, if I go to transaction MD01N, and if I provide the same material here also, which was star SL01 star SL01. Planning mode, let me keep this as regenerative. Adopt planning data, delete and recreate planning data. So because I'm doing it for first time, so delete and recreate planning data. Now you can see the amount of time. What do you think? It is taking less time or more time? MRP live.
Yeah, it came pretty fast, but let's see the results though.
No, it is still not came. It is still working.
Still running? I saw, okay, it's still, okay.
It is still running.
I didn't see how much time the other one took. But.
Alright, so the reason why it is taking time is MRP live requires some setup time. Okay, it is in the seconds. It is not something which is a huge time, but you will realize the benefit only if you have more than 30-40 goods materials that you are planning. So for example, if you plan 30 materials using MD01 and same materials you plan using MD01N, there are chances, again, it is not necessary that 30 materials is a fixed amount, but I'm just giving you some example. So it may happen that your normal MD01 will get faster compared to MD01N. The reason is MD01, it is like as soon as you click on execute, it starts the processing. While MD01N, because it is like it needs to process lot of data, so it takes some setup time, but once it is started, it will do it in the seconds. So the benefit is when you have more than 30. So let's take an example of 100 materials. You will definitely find it will take even lesser than 1/4 of the time, because once the setup time is completed, it will be done in seconds. While on the other hand, MD01, it doesn't require any setup time, but it requires some specific time for each material. That is the difference. So what I mean to say here is MD01N is good if you are planning more materials. If you are planning 1 or 2 materials, it is completely fine if you follow the same MD01 also. Now, another important thing we have seen when we run the MD01 normally, we have not got this performance log. Okay, in order to get the stock transfer list, we use the transaction MD04. This is called as the MRP live performance log. What it is telling you is the name of the performance log, which is defaulted, start date, end date, total planning time. It has taken 42 seconds. How many materials are planned? Only 1 material was planned. How many materials are failed? No, nothing. This is important. Classic MRP and MRP on HANA. How many materials are planned using classical MRP and how many materials are planned using MRP on HANA. So we can see one material was planned using MRP on HANA. So total materials are planned 1 and all materials were planned using MRP on HANA. Total time, okay, so it is giving the complete information. Very importantly, how much time HANA has taken and how much time Classic has taken. So now one thing in your mind will be, what is this Classic then? I'm not running Classic here, I'm using MD01N. Then why it is taking Classic MRP? The reason is, if you run MD01N and if for some reason that material cannot be planned using new logic, it will, in the background, it will automatically take the old logic. So for example, if I go to this same material, okay, as of now, reorder point planning is not supported in MRP Live. So if I go for this manual reorder point planning, okay, and if I try to run the same thing, MRP Live with regenerative and all, if I execute this, oh, it is still using the MRP on HANA. Let me just come completely out of this. I hope the material was fine.
Material you had as ND, as MRP type.
Sorry?
You had, oh, you changed it to reorder point. Okay, I didn't see that. Thanks.
Yes, actually. Okay,
So
let me try this.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Good. So you said if reorder point is not supported as of now, then what is the criteria it takes to enter it into a planning file then?
No, what it does is, suppose reorder point planning is not supported. When you run MD01N, it checks whether that material is supported or not. If it is supported, it will run the normal MD01N transaction where all the things will be performed in parallel. In case if it finds that, okay, this is something which scenario is not supported in MRP Live, automatically in the background, it will get executed in MD01 without N. Okay, which means automatically that will be planned. You don't need to run both the transactions. It automatically picks that also, but it will perform the calculation according to the old logic. And in the performance log, it will give you the complete log, like what has happened in the background. Let's try this once again. So regenerative planning, this is fine, and this is 3 means what? Delete and recreate. So this should give me the correct picture now. It is still showing this. This is something I'm not convinced. Okay, there is another report also. Let me show you the report first and maybe then we'll come to this. So if you want to know like which particular material is not going to support MRP Live because of some settings that you maintained in the material master, that thing also you can get using the report. Let me show you what is the report name. All these things, whatever I'm showing you, they are all mentioned in the PPT. I'll be showing you this PPT after I complete the practical part.
Just one quick question before you go further, Gaurav. So you say, so in
Yes.
the, when you ran the MRP Live for this material which had VB in it, did it not display on the MRP Live output that it used a traditional MD01 for it? Did it not?
Yes. In the background, it will automatically run using transaction MD01.
Correct, but it doesn't display on the report, right? On that particular
It will
output.
display the report. It will display.
Yeah, it will display the line, but it does not display whether it is run through MRP Live or traditional MRP.
It will show that also.
Okay.
It will show that also. It will give you the complete performance log. So let's say this is my material for this plant and I want to see whether this is supported for MRP Live or not. Okay, see, here it is giving error that this particular plant, this particular material, it is throwing the error. What is the error? Reorder plant reorder point planning not supported in MRP Live powered by HANA. That is the reason the material will not be planned in HANA, it will be planned in the classical logic that is planned in ABAP. Okay, but I don't know why it is planning in that frame. Let me just log off first. Okay, so if I try to execute it again, it should show that the material is planned, but it is planned using the old logic, not the new logic. Let's try it once more. MD01N. This is a plant and this is a material. I'm going with regenerative planning. There is something wrong. Let's try this.
Gaurav, does it need a planning file entry?
Sorry, Srini?
Does it need a planning file entry?
No, it doesn't need. Material scope is A, all material, fine. There's something wrong, definitely, because it should throw the same error. Whatever we are getting in that report, it should show that this material is not supported. Okay, maybe in order to show this scenario, I'll create some other material, but this is something which is wrong because I'm using the same scenario multiple times. If I change that to reorder point, this will definitely get changed. Okay, so what I'll do is, in order to show this scenario, I will just create another material where I'll specifically write it as a reorder point material. So MM01, and let's copy it from some other material. So this same material, star SL01 star. Or which?
To select basic MRPs, selecting it.
Okay, so I just need to change, even not there also, because we already maintained as VB, right? So that is also not required.
That didn't get copied.
Yes, manual reorder point. Let's keep it as this one. Oh, why it is getting created for SL02, sorry. MM01, enter.
Industry sector should be M. It doesn't matter, I guess.
No, that is something not a problem. So this is SL01, this is SL01. Yeah, now it is fine. Let's go proceed. MRP1, VP, MRP controller. So to save. Yeah, I think this was, I'll talk about this. This availability check, this individual requirement, daily requirement and all these are not available. Only individual requirement will be supported. The reason is daily requirement means there was a table. Okay, don't get confused. We'll talk about that separately. We will be discussing the fields in MRP Live. Okay, and let's click on save now. So this is a material. I hope this will throw error. Error means it will show that it has been planned using the old logic, classic logic. That is something which I want to demonstrate here. Let's click on, this is fine, execute. It should take time. Earlier it was not taking, means it is taking the previous data. Although we are clicking on this regenerative, no, here also it is showing the same thing. I need to check this. There is something wrong. Normally what should happen is, I'll tell you, I'm just trying to show you one scenario. There are some other scenarios also where the MRP live functionality is not supported. So one of the example is reorder point. Now, out of thousands of materials, how are you going to identify which materials are supported or not, and why they are not supported? For example, if you want to know why this material is not supported in MRP Lab, so the report that I told you in SE38, there is one report which you will run. This one, this is already available in my PPT. So you just need to specify the plant here, and you just keep this as blank. Detailed display will give you material by material. So if you click on execute, it will tell you out of how many materials which are supported and which are not. So here it is showing you correct picture. Here it is showing the error that these materials are not supported. Now if I go to this material, for example, if I go for change, okay, and here if I change this to PD, now if you try the same report, detailed display, let me remove this material number. So now you can see in the first material, which is 153, it is not showing any error. This means this is fine. This will be planned using HANA. But this, here it is showing in ABAP, but in the actual MRP Live, it is taking the new logic. That is something which I need to check. Okay, so what I mean here is, this report will give you the complete idea out of whatever number of materials, how many materials are going to be supported using MRP Live without any problem. And if there are any materials, because of some reason, if they are not supporting MRP Live, you can get the reasons here. Once you get the reason, you will try to convince your client to make him understand that MRP Live is a faster functionality. So if you are okay to change this requirement in Material Master, you will be getting the results faster. If he is convinced, fine. If he is not convinced, then also MD01N in the background, it will automatically run all the materials which are not supported using the old logic, that is MD01. So for example, let me try last time again. If I run this MD01N without specifying any material, so there are two materials now. So normally one should be planned using HANA and other should be planned using classic based on this logic, because this is something which is the report is showing. So if I execute this, although it should show 1 but I don't know, it will show 2 only. Yes, it is showing both are planned using MRP on HANA. Actually it should be 1 and it will show you the time, how much time classic has taken. Currently, because it is planned using HANA, no time was taken for classic. Okay, if there is 1 and 1, it will show you out of this seconds, how many seconds? 6 seconds. how much was taken by HANA and how much was taken by Classic. So this gives you the complete picture. Now if I go to this stock requirement list.
Gaurav, quick
Yes.
question. Doesn't it
Yeah.
list materials? Okay, so here it lists materials.
Yes. It will give you the complete list.
Okay, thanks.
This is like a stock requirement list. If you click on this, it will take you here, and if you double click here, it will give you the same picture what you were getting in MD04.
Okay, another question here since we are in the topic. I thought I'll ask you later, but earlier you said in MRP Live, there is no purchase requisitions creation supported anymore. If so, I mean, it's going to create only planned orders. So those MRP planners who used to do the purchase requisitions directly, what benefit does it gives them by going to again plan order, then converting a plan order to purchase requisition, etc.? Is there any reason why that was taken away?
No. Have I said that purchase requisitions are not created?
Are not supported in MRP Live? Maybe I heard you wrong.
No. Something.
Yeah,
maybe,
you mentioned
planned
orders will get created.
Only planned orders are supported, you mentioned, Gaurav. Maybe.
Okay. No, let me clarify. So yes, this MD01, which is this one. Yeah, here you mean to say that earlier there were 3 options. Now only planned orders are supported. This is something which I told.
Correct.
Yes, my mistake. I also realized that I said it wrongly. Yeah, the reason, sorry, that is not the case. The case is there is a flow now. There's a proper flow, like how exactly the things will be taken. So it is like, I will check this in my PPT also. I have this slide. So there is a proper flow. So let's say, for example, first of all, whenever a material is procured externally, it will check if there is a contract already in place. So it will take that contract into account, or the scheduling agreement, and finally it will go for purchase requisition. Even if the purchase requisition is not available, then only it will go for planned order in case of the procurement from outside. In case of in-house production, it will first check whether a production version exists or not. This is something new. So earlier you were selecting the production version, right? You were mentioning in the material master which production version should be taken, which BOM and which routing should be taken whenever you are running the MRP Live, right? Now that is not required because production version is mandatory now in SAP S4. So to avoid confusion, let me clarify this in the slide, because there is some 4 or 5 steps that needs to be clarified. I'll come back to you on this.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
But sorry, I also understand. I don't know how I told that. That is something which is wrong.
No, it's all right.
Okay. Okay, and yes. So this is something which I'm finding it difficult to understand how this is, because in one report it is showing it is not supported, and here it is showing both in HANA. That is something which I'll come back to you. But otherwise, this is giving you the stock requirement list. This is giving you the materials with messages. So currently there are nothing. Why? Because all the materials were planned using MRP on HANA. So if there is any material which cannot be planned using HANA, if it is in classic MRP, you can go here and you can find why exactly it was not planned using MRP on HANA. Okay, so this will also give you the information that why it was not planned, what was the reason. Okay, and let me now go back to PPT to discuss all these things. I think we need another half an hour session on this, because these things which are not working, I will properly check that and we will discuss more on that. But I think you got the basic idea now, so let me go through this. Yes, so from the PPT point of view, we reached here where I told you MD01 is a new transaction. So in classic MRP, we had different transactions, right? We had MD01, MD02, MD03, but in SAP S4HANA or MRP Live, MD01 replaces all those classic MRP transactions. As in single transaction, it is providing you more flexible selection criteria with more fields and options for selection. It is not possible, however, to replace multi-level make-to-order planning. So these are some of the transactions which are still not available on MRP Lab. So as a workaround, the classic MRP transaction should be used. That is the reason SAP has kept both the ends open. They are not saying MRP Lab is mandatory, and they are not removing MD01 completely. The reason is there are some scenarios which are still not supporting MRP Lab. So in that case, there is no option but to go for MD01. Even if you run MD01N, if, as I told you, if the new logic is not supported, in the background itself, it will automatically redirect it to transaction MD01. That is a classical transaction.
One quick question, Gaurav.
Yes, right.
Now, are there any changes at the table level for storing this MRP data, or is it the old tables are still existing?
Table level, see, if I talk from the master data point of view and MD01, there are no changes. In case of MD01N, there are changes that I'll talk about.
Okay, another question related to that. See, currently, maybe those who are MRP experts here on this call, maybe they might say I may be wrong. But as far as I understood, multi-plant MRP at the same time, that means materials being in multiple plants and the requirements, comparing the requirements and comparing with the stocks in the various plants and coming out with the MRP results was one of the things which was not that much supported earlier, and even if it was supported, it was having a lot of issues. Is there any, any better functionality in MRP Live for those? Are you aware of any of those?
No, I think, see, if you see the transactions MD01, MD02, MD03, whatever different transactions we had, if you see at the plant level, it was only one plant supported. The multiple plants were never supported.
Right.
The problem was in multiple storage locations. If you remember, storage location was a problem, because irrespective of whether you run the material planning on a storage location, it was taking complete plant in the background. That was a problem. That is the reason, I think around 5-10 years back, SAP stopped the MRP at storage location and they came up with the concept of MRP areas.
Okay. So are you saying that still the multi-plant at the same time in one run is still not supported?
It is supported. Currently, if you see MD01N, it is allowing you to specify more than one plant.
Okay. Maybe I missed that part.
It is completely, yeah.
Gaurav, I just want to add, even in traditional MRP, you do have options to add multiple plants using the scope of
planning.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks, Manish. You can proceed, Gaurav. Thanks. I think my question is clear.
Yep. Okay, so this is a program which I shown you now, where you can check, are there any materials which are not supported in MRP Lab? So as I shown you, if you run this report, it will give you the complete picture that this material is not supported because of this reason. So in order to help you to identify which materials are using the settings not supported by MRP Lab, SAP has developed a new report to check the master data. With this report, you can evaluate all your materials and identify which ones can be planned by MRP Lab and which ones should be planned by classic MRP transactions. Whenever your system finds a restriction, this is a line which we discussed earlier, whenever your system finds a restriction or a setting that is not yet supported by MRP Lab, it can automatically change to classic MRP logic and plan a material. However, from the performance standpoint, it is always better to plan using MRP Lab because it is doing all the things in parallel. So even if you find a list of materials which are not supported, it is advisable to check with the business if they are ready to go ahead with that particular setting in the material master. If they are, they will be getting the faster results. If not, maybe due to some reason, then perfectly fine. In the background, it will automatically take the older logic. Performance log I shown you. when you execute the MD01 and it provides you the performance log. So MRP Lab provides the performance log that helps us to evaluate the MRP execution from the performance point of view. We can use this performance log to identify the bottlenecks because it is telling you why a particular material was not planned using MRP Lab. It is providing you statistics such as what was the total run time, how many number of materials are planned, which materials are planned using old logic, which materials are planned using classic logic, how much time was spent on HANA and how much time was spent on classic MRP and all the other things. This is another program which I'll be discussing in the next session. So there are some scenarios in which although system supports, MRP Lab supports to plan that material using the new logic, but still business wants that, okay, this particular material, please don't use new logic. I want to keep old logic. There are some scenarios because there is one restriction in MRP Lab. It doesn't create the MRP list. It only creates a stock requirement list. So I think you must be knowing the difference. MRP list is static. So once it is generated, it will remain as it is. Stock requirement list is dynamic. It keeps on changing. So if there is a requirement from the business that they want to have a MRP list, in that case, they have to stick to the classic logic. So even if system supports that this material can be planned using MRP Live, business can say that, okay, this particular material I want to plan using the old logic only. So this program or this T code, let me copy this T code. If you go to this T code, you can specify that please plan this material only using classic logic. Okay, so for example, this particular material. Okay, I think this is a better way to see. If I click on this, just a minute. So material is this, plant is this. Let me execute. Yeah, so this is a material. Currently, this is not ticked. This means I want to plan this material only using classical logic. So I click on change mode and I will click on this classic MRP. Just save this. Okay, now if I try to perform MD01 and even if this material is supported, okay, I will just remove this because I want to show you this scenario where there are two materials, one with classic and one with the MRP Lab logic. Okay, so two materials are planned, as I told you, one using classic logic, one using MRP on HANA. Total time taken by HANA was this one, 34, I don't know whether it is seconds or what, yes, 34 seconds, and total time taken by classic was 4 seconds. Total it has taken 38 seconds. Okay, so if you double click or if you click on this materials with messages, this is a material which was not planned. Why? Because material manually set to planning in classic MRP. We specifically said that please plan this material using classic logic. Okay, so here it throws the error. It will tell you why this material was not planned using the new logic. Clear now? So this is how I was expecting when you perform the reorder point, it should come here as a classic MRP, not as a MRP on HANA. Okay, so this is a program which allows you to restrict a particular material to be planned always using the old logic, not the new logic.
What is that report name, Gaurav? Is it in the slides?
Yes, it is in the slide. So whatever slide I'm sharing with you, it contains that. And finally, the changes in the MRP view of material master. So I think this particular thing we will discuss in the next session with the flow, as I told you, how system determines whether the purchase requisition should be created or the plant order should be created. So all these things we'll see in the next session. So I hope you got the idea now. So there is one thing, one is the traditional MRP, then there is MRP on HANA, and finally there is MRP Lab. So the difference is obviously this traditional MRP was doing record by record. MRP on HANA was selecting multiple records at a time, but processing and execution was one by one. Finally, MRP Lab processes, selects everything in parallel. And the MRP on HANA works on the traditional T codes. So same transactions like MD01, MD02 will work on MRP on HANA, while for MRP on Live, it is providing you the better selection criteria where you can select multiple plants, multiple materials at the same time. And the new transaction is MD01N. And on top of that, it provides you the performance log, which tells you whether the material was planned using the old logic or new logic. And at the same time, there is a program through which you can identify which materials are in problem, what are the problems, and you can take the corrective actions. On the other hand, there is also a program which tells or which allows you to always plan the material using classic logic. Okay, so these are some of the things which we discussed today. In the next session, I will start off with these changes in the material master due to MRP and some other things which are related to MRP Lab. Any questions?
Any reason why VB is not supported?
Sorry, what is not supported?
Manual reorder point planning, VB.
Yes, there are some functionalities which are not supported, but it doesn't mean that they will not be available in future also, because the MRP Lab, again, as we discussed in like the output determination, it is again one of the functionality which is keeping on developing. So maybe in the future they will allow the reorder point also. As of now, it is not supported. So there are some things which will come in MRP Lab in future, and there are some things which will be as it is.
So basically, as of now, then only PD is supported, that is MRP.
Yes, yes.
Correct?
As
Nothing
of
else.
now, only PD is supported. Yes.
One more quick question then. So with this MRP Live, we would still need to run the planning run, before MRP run, we'll do a planning run which does the entry into the planning file. That step would still be there, right?
No, that is something which we are going to discuss in the next session. The planning files, the total horizon, there are some changes there also.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Gaurav, this is Sunny again. So in addition to MPS material not seen in MRP type, there is also X0, which means planning at an external system. Is that also taken out?
It is in the material master itself?
Yeah, it's in the same field, MRP type. So before you had options for MPS, you had options to even plan it externally, because APO can plan stuff instead of ECC doing the planning. So I did not see even XO. So is it something that has been taken out?
I need to check. Can you just do one thing? Can you just send me the screenshot of what exactly, where exactly you can see that?
Okay. You can check in the ECC, Gaurav, like if you go to Material Master.
I just disconnected the server. Okay, just give me a minute. Let me open the server.
The next class would be next Saturday, right, Gaurav?
Yes, Ravi, next Saturday.
Same time.
Same time, yeah. Okay, you want me to check in ECC, right?
Oh, yes.
Material master?
Yeah, you can just go into the material master.
Maybe there is some background noise. Okay, let me create instead of using it. 001. Let me see which plant I can take. Okay.
On the MRP
First.
type.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
these are the things.
So, yeah. So I can see it here. Now I see the MPS, but even X0 should be there.
No, this is EHP. So you are able to see here, but I need to check why it is not coming in S4. Okay, here itself you are saying X0.
Yeah. External planning.
External. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me check this.
Okay.
Yeah.
It means that we are excluding the material for MRP run and ECC.
Okay. Okay then.
Okay.
Let's close and yeah, we'll meet on Saturday same time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye everyone.
I got it.